Welcome back to Russ Recaps. Today I'm going to recap a 2005 American romantic comedy film called Hitch. Spoilers ahead, so be warned, and let's get into the video. The movie begins with Alex talking about how any man can get the woman of his dreams if he somehow manages to overcome his fears and follows his foolproof advice. Alex Hitchens is the date doctor who helps men land dates. For now, Alex is coaching 3 men. He gives them some really good advice as he prepares them for their dates. The men follow his advice and surprisingly score a second date and eventually the third date. The scene changes to Sara Melas, a gossip columnist who decided to return to work from her vacation to break the news about the heiress getting cheated on. Apparently, the cheating man was at the same beach as her, so she had to come back to New York and write an article for her firm. Her boss is pleased to know that she's back and praises her for her hard work. At the same time, he lets her know that she's becoming a sick workaholic, which is not good. Sara, however, believes that relationships are for people who are just waiting for something better to come along. Later that night, Alex is at a club playing pool with his friend. As they talk about relationships, his friend tells him how getting married was the best thing that happened to him, but then stares at a group of girls lustfully. Surprisingly, Sara is at the same bar as the two of them. She's with a friend named Casey, talking about a man hitting on her at a lingerie shop. The guy told Casey that he was buying lingerie for his mother. Desperate, Casey believes that the date doctor should also help women. Alex plans on taking a girl home, which is something his married friend can't do. He goes over and hands the girl some money, pretending to assume that she's an employee and asking her for some lime wedges. The girl returns the money and tells him that she doesn't work there. This was Alex's innovative way to get her out of the group and flirt with him. The scene changes to Alex narrating a story from back at college when he was not so cool. That's when he met Casey Baylor. It was love at first sight for him, but not for her. Later, Alex finds her making out with another guy in his car. Alex is upset, but all that Cressida can say is sorry, and this is why Alex started the secret date doctor business. He knows how to woo women that he wants to pass on to his fellow men. Next, we see Alex standing in front of a building looking at his next client, who is clumsily eating a hot dog. It's Albert Brannaman, a man whom Alex believes is a man born with no game. Alex introduces himself, and Albert explains that he's looking to get into a long-term relationship with a woman who turns out to be very wealthy with celebrity status, Allegra Cole, who got cheated on. Albert is also on the team of Allegra's financial consultants. Alex is a little surprised to hear that at first, but then agrees to help him after seeing that he has true and sincere feelings for her. The coaching begins. Alex suggests that the first thing that Albert should do is something over the top to impress Allegra. Albert, as expected, is freaking out. He receives a message from Alex telling him about Allegra's arrival, and Albert heads over to the meeting. Allegra wants to invest $500,000 in her friend's fashion line. The lead advisor suggests otherwise, but Albert, who wants to impress her, tells Allegra that she can do whatever she wants with her money. They are not her kindergarten teachers. She should listen to her heart and invest in what she feels is right. After causing a scene, Albert quits his job on the spot and rushes out to see Alex. Upon asking, he reveals the situation while using an inhaler. Albert is in havoc at this point, but Alex manages to calm him down. They hear a knock on the door. Turns out it's Allegra. She tells Albert that no one has ever spoken to her like that, and she appreciates what he did for her. She wants to see him again to discuss the plan for the fashion line. Albert nervously agrees, while Alex is hiding behind the door helping him. Later that night, coincidentally, Alex and Sara are at the same bar again. A bartender catches Alex looking at her, so he reveals that Sara is a newspaper columnist and a great tipper. Alex walks towards her with 2 drinks in his hand, but notices that another guy named Chip beat him to it. So after listening to his cringy pickup line, Sara tells him that she's not interested, but Chip is persistent. Alex walks in pretending to know Sara to get rid of Chip. The two indulge in a flirty conversation about dating, but Alex leaves the conversation short, leaving Sara interested to know him more. The next day, Alex meets with his new client, Vance Munson. He tells Alex that he wants to get together with this girl he met in a lingerie shop. He's worried that she won't return his calls anymore, and everything seems dull without her. Moments later, he reveals that he's not looking for a long-term relationship, but only wants to sleep with her. Hearing that, Alex gets upset and tells him that this is not the type of service he offers. Vance offers him more money, but Alex refuses and leaves after teaching him a lesson. On the other side, Sara receives a package at work. It's a walkie-talkie with Alex on the other side. In an interesting conversation, Alex asks her out on a breakfast date on Sunday. Sara is reluctant at first but later agrees. Once she agrees, she gets another package with a wetsuit inside. Turns out, it's a ski date. Fast forward to Sunday, the two of them race toward the endpoint. However, Alex's speedboat shuts down midway. Alex hops onto Sara's boat and accidentally kicks her off. Eventually, they reach Ellis Island. Alex has set up a private tour for them. Things get a little awkward, but Sara bursts into tears seeing her great-great-grandfather's signature in one of the registers. Turns out he was a wanted criminal. With a few weird instances, the date goes well, and it seems that they might see each other again. So while Sara discusses her date details with Casey, Alex prepares Albert for his meeting with Allegra. They're going to Maggie's fashion event. Albert does all that Alex told him to, but the date wasn't perfect by no means. Maggie ends up being a man that flustered Albert. His awful dance moves were captured by reporters, but at the end of the day, Allegra had a good time with him. The next day, Sara is devastated about missing the event where Allegra was seen with Albert. Her boss is also very upset with her. They are all dying to know who Albert Brannaman is. On the flip side, Alex is mad at Albert for ruining his plan. He then pumps him up by telling him that if he follows his advice properly, he might become Allegra's last and first kiss, followed by the little lesson about kissing. Sara is still hooked up on Allegra and Albert. Later, she finds out that Alex was the one who got them tickets to the show. She calls him up and sets a second date at a food rave. So while they're cooking, Sara and her boss inquire about the tickets, but Alex denies knowing them personally. Later, a complimentary dish is served, but unfortunately, Alex has an allergic reaction to it. So he and Sara rush to a pharmacy to get some Benadryl. At this point, his face is swollen and he's drugged up on Benadryl. Taking advantage of Alex's situation, she asks him about Allegra and Albert. Alex reveals that they're going to a Knicks game tomorrow. Sara plans to follow them to get images for her newspaper. So after spending the night at Sara's place, the two get ready to go to work and they kiss. Later, Sara meets Casey only to find out that she slept with Vance Munson. The guy was a complete jerk, so Casey is also mad at the date doctor who helped him in the first place. Sara meets Vance to find out more about the date doctor, but he doesn't have much to tell. Alex, on the other hand, is preparing Albert for his next date and getting him waxed. Alex calls Sara and invites her for dinner at his place. While Allegra and Albert are now at the game, and so is Sara and her cameraman, they seem to have a great time, and honestly, Sara is happy about it too. The game's over and Albert now has to drop Allegra off, so he's a little worried. He attempts to follow Alex's advice, but fails and abruptly says goodnight. After walking just a few steps, he comes back and kisses Allegra, and she reciprocates it well too. Sara then sets up a fake meeting with the date doctor for her friend. The date doctor, meaning Alex, shows up at the decided place, and Sara is all set to expose him. That's when she finds out that the date doctor is actually Alex Hitch, so instead of talking to him, she runs off. The next day, Sara shows an audio recording of Alex's conversation with her fake friend. She wants to write an article to expose the date doctor, but her boss, who's a wise man, wants her to carefully think about it and let him know. As planned, Sara goes over to Alex's place. Her obnoxious behavior is making Alex a little concerned. She grabs the bottle of wine and starts drinking from it while switching the lights and the music. She confronts Alex about his business. Alex, who has no clue what's happening, tells her that he's not responsible for interviews. He then urges her to resume their date, but she keeps snarling at him. She then walks towards Alex with a bunch of chopped up vegetables in her hand and starts throwing them at him before yelling that she knows what he does. The two get into a heated argument and Sara leaves. The next day, Alex finds out that Sara wrote a gossip article about him exploiting the situation without getting the facts right. Her other targets are Albert and Allegra. This also makes Allegra believe that it was all a lie. At this point, both Albert and Alex are ruined. Alex meets Sara to ask her why she did that. In response, she tells him that it's her job to expose frauds like him. So during the confrontation, Sara ends up finding the truth about Alex, Albert, and Vance. Alex reveals how he turned men like Vance down and helped men like Albert. After finding the truth, Sara apologizes to him, but Alex blows her off since he's still upset about the fact that she exploited him that made him lose his job and reputation. With no job, Alex is moving out of his apartment when Albert shows up to ask if he can still fix the situation. But the series of recent events have made Alex bitter about everything. He has started to think that love is overrated. That's when Albert tells him that he shouldn't help men out with love if he doesn't believe in it. The realization of being a coward hits and Alex decides to help Albert. He sets a meeting with Allegra to tell her how Albert truly loves her and that his job isn't to deceive but to create opportunities. Allegra believes him and takes Albert back. Alex then rushes to see Sara and tells her how he feels about her but is struggling to get the words right. It appears that he's in desperate need of a date doctor. Sara believes it's too late and tells him to leave, but he doesn't. He ends up telling her how he feels. Sara opens the door only for Alex to see another man standing behind her, and the two of them leave. Alex now has no other option but to jump at her car to stop her, and he does. The other man turns out to be Sara's brother-in-law, and she takes Alex back. The two of them have a sweet reunion. The final credits show Albert and Allegra getting married, while Casey also meets a handsome young man. That's all for today. Please subscribe to see more videos like this and leave a like to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.